Hey, how's it going, everyone? I'm here with Ben Richards. He's a loan originator at Sierra Pacific Mortgage. Today we're going to be going over the process of originating a loan from pre-qualification to closing. So with that being said, Ben, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure.
Let the people know who we're with today.
Hi everyone, my name is Ben Richards. As George mentioned, I'm a loan originator here in Hartford County with Sierra Pacific Mortgage, the Bel Air branch specifically. So been there since 2019, in the industry for about 5 years now, and look forward to getting this going with you, George.
What's the process of getting pre-qualified?
Yeah, so the process is definitely, first is a conversation with a local lender. In that conversation, it's important that you and they identify any kind of questions, concerns that you might have starting into the process. Sometimes it can be an intimidating kind of first step. So what I like to do is try to break down any kind of barriers, build some trust, and identify the client's goals in the transaction. So that's definitely the first step. After that, you're going to fill out your mortgage application, which we refer to as the 1003, is your mortgage application. So that's going to ask you questions about your income, assets, and credit, as well as some personal information. Once that's completely filled out, your lender is going to require you provide some documentation. Documentation's typically pay stubs, bank statements, tax returns, those sorts of things. The reason we ask for that is so we can match it with the information that you provide in the application to make sure it's accurate and correct.
All right, got you.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm a buyer. I've been searching around for a house, and I finally found the one.
Yep.
I'm ready to put in an offer. So what is the loan originator responsible for providing the buyer and their agent with when they're submitting an offer?
Yeah, so the first thing I would say that the lender is responsible for is providing the client with a sincere sense of confidence that they're getting into a financial transaction that they're comfortable with. In a way that I'm able to do that is using a tool called an estimated itemized fee worksheet. And this is something that breaks down all of the different fees and services that go into the transaction. So your down payment, your closing costs, title, escrow fees, all those sorts of things that the buyer or first-time home buyer, or even someone who's done this a couple times might not be super familiar with. I provide them with that so that we're able to go over it together, make sure you're super comfortable with those numbers and everything that goes into it. So lastly, we give the client or the agent, the client's representation, a pre-qualification letter that's tailored to match the offer that they're submitting on the property, which allows the seller to know that they've been pre-qualified by a licensed mortgage professional.
All right, so we just got good news from the listing agent that the buyer's offer was accepted by the sellers, and they're ready to move forward. So what things is the loan originator responsible for providing the buyer at this point in the transaction?
Yeah, well, first thing I do is give them a call to congratulate them. In this market specifically, it's not uncommon for a buyer to submit 4 or 5 offers before they get one accepted. So it can be a trying process, and again, this is a relationship that we're developing with these clients and buyers. It's not just a transactional sort of thing. So I genuinely get excited for the client, for the buyer when their offer is accepted. So I give them a call, congratulate them. Oftentimes they have a million questions about next steps, so that's a good opportunity to talk about that. Typically the next steps include ordering your home inspection, appraisal, getting into processing and underwriting on our end, doing our various verifications of employment and those sorts of things. So we talk about that as well. So we also send out the loan estimate, our initial disclosure package, which again allows us to get into processing and underwriting. So just talk about the next steps and ensure that it's going to be a smooth process heading into settlement.
All right. And then I believe the next step in the transaction in purchasing a home is the inspection. And a lot of people fear the inspection because what they see on the outside may appear to be perfect, but once you do the inspection, you're opening a can of worms. And if a can of worms is opened, in what ways can that cause the loan to fall through?
Sure. So the home inspection is mostly for the buyer's peace of mind and their protection, truly. So, you get a licensed and certified home inspector to come through the property. They're going to go through it with a fine-tooth comb, look at all the things that you're not going to be able to see. They're going to go through the crawl spaces, get up on the roof, all that kind of stuff. And then they're going to give you a report highlighting any kind of issues or concerns that you might have. Again, in this example, there are a can of worms opened, right? So there might be issues. Typically, depending on how the contract is written, this would give the buyer the opportunity to either negotiate with the seller to fix some of those issues, that is the can of worms, or potentially walk away from the transaction. If they were to choose to walk away from the transaction, that would then, in cause make the loan application fall through. However, if they go searching for another property, it's not like they have to start the process all over again. We're able to just kind of pick up where we left off.
All right. So with this specific transaction, the buyer, they ended up not opening a can of worms. They opened up a can of caviar.
Yeah.
Everything looked good. Yeah. And they're moving forward to the next step, which is the appraisal. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay. Could you explain what an appraisal is?
Yeah. So the appraisal is what the mortgage company is going to use to validate what we're lending upon, right? So the buyer and seller agree upon a purchase price. Then we get the appraiser to come through to ensure that the home is worth that value. So the appraiser is going to generate a report similar to like the home inspector would. Obviously, they're looking at some different things regarding the property, but they're going to generate a report, give it to the mortgage company. We're going to go through it, and we're going to use that value as the value that we lend upon, which we then, will dictate your loan amount and everything there.
All right, gotcha. And we're a couple of days out from closing, and I believe at this point is when the buyer receives a closing disclosure.
Correct.
Could you tell us how many days does the loan originator have to provide the closing disclosure to the buyer?
Yep.
And explain what the closing disclosure is.
Yep. So we are required to provide the closing disclosure to the client 3 days prior to settlement. That being said, we like to get it out as early as possible. This is beneficial to the buyer because it kind of gives them a better idea of what their final cash to close number is going to be, as well as their monthly payment. The difference between the loan estimate, which again we send out in our initial disclosure package when you go under contract, and the closing disclosure, which we provide at least 3 days before settlement, is a lot of those figures that were estimates are now finalized. So where we might have estimated what your homeowner's insurance policy might cost you per month, you've actually chosen an insurance provider, a policy, and you're going to see that exact number on your closing disclosure. You're also going to see any kind of seller contribution that you may have negotiated through the home inspection process. You're also going to see the appraisal or home inspection that you've already paid for. Those are going to be removed from your cash to close. So it's more of a tailored, tight-knit, and very accurate cash to close number that again is provided at least 3 days prior to settlement.
Right, and that's by law?
Correct.
Okay,
yep.
Gotcha. All right. Well, today's closing day.
Yep.
What things is the buyer responsible for doing on closing day at the closing table? So again, sending the closing disclosure out 3 days prior to settlement. The day of, we don't like any sort of hiccups. So settlement day is a celebration for us. And typically the buyer is going to do, if it's not the settlement day, it's maybe the night before or something. They might do a final walkthrough, make sure any kind of improvements were handled correctly. And then on settlement day, they're required to bring their driver's license to the settlement, as well as their cashier's check, your cash to close. Otherwise, you may have wired the funds directly to the title company. So if you do that, you would just be bringing your driver's license. So it's, again, settlement days, we don't like any surprises after the closing disclosure. So
that's a happy day for us.
Right, and I'm sure the buyers wouldn't want that either.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's their day to celebrate.
For sure.
Yeah,
You know, it's been a stressful process for them, and the last thing we want is, you know, any sort of last minute, you know, kind of hiccups. So.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Well, those are all the questions I got for you today. Thank you so much for breaking down the loan process for us. I myself learned quite a bit, and I'm sure other people have as well. Do you have anything else to say before we sign off?
Just thank you for your time and letting me use your platform and your network in order to give some of this information. I think it's critical that buyers use local representation as far as an agent and lender, homeowners insurance and title, everything like that. It's just because we have a tremendous amount of knowledge in the area. We're flexible, local. You know, we know this place very well, so I think that's just the main thing. Just, you know, work with someone local and make sure that they're going to provide a service that matches your needs and exceeds your expectations. So again, thank you for your time. I look forward to seeing this online, seeing how long it takes you to edit my big fat face, but it's all good.
Take too long. Yeah, and I have no doubt people are gonna want to work with you after watching this interview.
Sure.
I'm sure they have a great amount of confidence.
Yep.
After watching this. So what's the best way that people can reach out to you?
Yeah, so I'm on most social media platforms. I'm going to ask George if you're kind enough to put my email and personal cell phone as a part of this video. That'd be great. Feel free to reach out, email, text message, phone call, social media, you know, however you prefer to communicate. I'd love to have a conversation. Even if it's just, you know, just a couple quick questions or something you might have about the home buying process, I'm here to help.
Awesome. Thanks again, Ben, for coming here today, and that's it for now, guys.
Take care.
See you later.